here on the left being played by Oscar versus John Penick playing Blue-White Delver. Enemy, if you will, or frenemy. Depends on which route you want to go. We're moving into game 3 here now. I'm going to let you take a look at Oscar's deck list first, and how similar is it to Reed Duke's deck? He's the kind of person that championed this deck.
Absolutely. This is just like Gerard Fabiano and Reed Duke's rug ramp deck. Primeval Titans, Thragtusks, Frost Titans, and Simulacrums. Even Karn, Bonfires, Temporal Masteries. Not a lot of dazzle. Mostly just ramp, miracles, and Titans.
Okay.
Couple of planeswalkers, but mostly ramp, miracles, and planeswalkers. On the other side, anything special out of this Delver list?
One thing that stands out, actually two, to be honest with you. 2 mutagenic growths here.
Nice.
Which is not something that you typically find in Delver decks. Normally you're going to find it as a one of or a none of, and then 2-mana leaks instead of your standard 4.
Ooh, that's going to hurt him in this matchup.
That is going to hurt him here for sure. Also, I do find 2 Phantasmal Images in the main. He does have the Geist package, and he also has 3 Tolerant Sky Summoners, so that's the reason that you're going to find the mutagenic growths.
That Tolerant's real exciting with 12, the full 12 1-mana cantrips, plus the play set of snags and gut shots.
And then the 2 mutagenic growths on top of that. So
that is a lot of business.
Once it does come into play, it can kind of get crazy, especially if you get to untap with it. But in the rug deck, you're going to find some number of Bonfire of the Damned, and is that number 4?
It is.
Okay, so a Talon going bonkers is not game over by any means.
So Penick with just 2 land, Ponder, no clock yet, but setting up his hand. Oscar ramping up on the draw, but rampant growth effectively stealing the play in this position.
Stealing the initiative back for sure. Now it's going to be up to John to really get. I mean, he has to get some sort of clock or board presence online. And the longer the game goes, I think it favors the ramp deck, of course. Oscar doesn't have the full number of Cavern of Souls, only playing 2 in his deck, so his Titans aren't going to resolve as easily as they normally would.
Oh, but only 2 mana leaks.
But only 2 mana leaks too. So, as we are going to see
a fine hand.
The Gataxian Probe here, and that is a good hand.
2 more land, 2 Thragtusks to cast with him, and then a Primeval Titan for when he draws one more green. And one of those land being a Kessel Wolf Run, ensuring that any of these threats is potentially lethal.
But with that information that from the Gataxian Probe, Penick knows that the coast is clear. Here comes Geist to St. Traff. It is time to get the beatdowns on, as we see an island and pass. So this is going to be 1 hit for 6, and now it's going to be on Penick to be able to stop these Thragtusks from happening. But again, only 2 mana leaks.
Only 2 mana leaks. Thragtusk is real hard when your plan is things like Vapor Snag, but it is nice to Phantasmal Image him. How many images does he have?
John has 2 in his main deck, and I am looking at none in the sideboard, so just 2, and one of which is lurking in his hand. Now, the easy part of this turn for John is that he's going to be coming across for 6, but we see that he is contemplating casting a Ponder, and how he's going to want to set up the mid-game, the turns of the mid-game.
Oh, no, this is afterboard.
Yeah, so we are in game 3.
1 negate.
There was a negate shuffled around in there with 2 other cards for the Ponder.
How many other counters does he have in his board?
We see 2 negate and then 1 dissipate, but you're not going to find any additional mana leaks like coming in. The 2 that he has in his 60 are the 2 that he has throughout his 75. It's an interesting decision. I'm actually going to want to talk to him about that. If when we have time to walk around or something like that. I'm surprised not to see that as a 4-of. As we see him shuffling with Ponder. Gonna have to be a mystery card here, but I mean, for what it looks like right now, from the information that we have, it looks like a Thragtusk is going to be coming into play next turn. So we see him draw a mutagenic growth off of his Ponder. So we're going to see a hard-cast Gataxian Probe now as well. Considering the merits of Phyrexian mana over regular, 2 Thragtusks, 2 Primeval Titans, and a Kessel Wolf Run.
This is going to be tough when he starts chaining these Thragtusks together.
That's where you see an attack for 6 from Penick. Now, one thing to keep in mind, Pat, only 1 green mana in play, and his only other land is Kessel Wolf Run, so those Primeval Titans are not live right now.
Very true.
As we do see a Pillar of Flame drawn from Oscar. The Moo Cow himself hitting play.
Thragtusk making it very difficult for Penick to race. I mean, Geist is such a fast clock, but these Thragtusks give not only a big body that can't be snagged effectively, but a big life boost to Boone. Wow! Did I say hard to block? Hard to stop? Wow, you can, that's a, wow. Oscar's dead in 2.
That changes.
Now, I guess the Thragtusk in his hand will buy him 1 more turn, but wow!
This game just changed like crazy.
Spectral Flight for the win. What does Oscar even have against that? I mean, nothing. Wow.
He's like next to nothing to take care of that.
He could theoretically draw a land and a Karn. No, he needs 2 land and a Karn. That's not enough. I mean, oh, if he draws a green land, Titans, he'll have enough mana to draw a Karn, and then he can Karn the Spectral Flight. That is a tough way to do it.
That's a roundabout way of taking care of that.
I don't think he'd board in the Beast Within.
No, you typically don't want Beast Within in this matchup. I mean, we're tuning into Game 3, not Game 2, so we don't know if he saw Spectral Flight in Game 2. But again, it's not really the best card that you want in the Delver matchup.
We're very quickly going to see a situation where Oscar's only hope is to chain Temporal Masteries together. I mean, that or a Bonfire, right? Like, he still has the out of Miracle Bonfire, right?
Absolutely.
As anybody who's seen the classic image of Luis Scott Vargas and Brian Kibler getting bonfired right out of the World Cup knows, Bonfire can turn around any game.
As we're going to see a Thragtusk here. Now, interesting. We know that Oscar has a Ponder in his hand.
Yep.
And he opted not to cast it there. Any opinion on that play?
Yeah, I think it's the right play because he's gonna give himself. He wants to set up the board so that if he miracles into the Bonfire, it's 1 turn before he dies, and he does the maximum amount of damage on the Crackback.
Okay.
And he doesn't want to waste his mana.
So we do see a attack scene probe there.
Plus,
from John. Ooh.
This gives him the chance. Oh wow. Mana Leak, huh? Well, how many does it take, right? Like 2 is plenty. Leave 1 in reserve. Wow.
Mr. Penick is making this look easy.
The Doctor is not one to play.
So we're going to see a trade of Thragtusk here. An attack for 8 across is going to put Oscar down to 8. And, I mean, he may have had his bases covered simply with the Mutagenic Growth in his hand to kind of blank the Bonfire. But
wow,
the Mana
he's got
Leak,
him beat on every metric.
Yeah, now the Mana Leak makes it feel like he's got him beat every way that he can.
Well, he can still win this one, right? Like, what if Oscar's top 4 cards are all Temporal Masteries? He can pay every time.
That's true. That's true. That's an angle. It's a roundabout one,
but
it's not
over.
An angle.
Nothing's over. There's always a miracle.
Miracle Mechanic.
Well, there's the green mana. But he's looking at 8 in the air, so I think that's it.
Now, does he even has Glimmer Post in this deck. That Mana Leak was so brutal. So brutal by Penick.
He really needed the cavern right there, not the forest.
Yep.
Yeah, because without that Mana Leak, this Titan would have given him a real chance.
And that's
offers the hand, and the Doctor, John Penick, defeating Oscar Casasola. Blue-White Delver taking another victim. So far, only zombies have been able to crack Delver's impenetrable shields.